Hello, everybody. My name is Ichiro Machino, and I'm the founder of eCommunicators.com, and this is a cafe interview. And today I'm having Miss Alyssa from United States. You're Washington State and Seattle?
Washington,
okay.
Seattle.
Okay. So anyway, I'll focus. Okay, here she is. So nice to meet you. And could you introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, so my name is Alyssa, and I'm from Seattle in Washington State, and I have been living in Sapporo for 5 years for my graduate school studies.
Okay. What is your major?
So I study insects, study entomology, and in particular I study taxonomy, which is the classification, so how we divide up different groups and understand which species are which species and how to tell them apart.
Well, that's a really interesting area, and but also I'm quite interested in how you decided to be interested in that area. When first you realized you are interested in insects?
So I always wanted to be a scientist. In particular, I've always been interested in biology. I come from kind of an area of the U.S. that has kind of a strong culture of environmentalism and relatively good weather. So when I was a kid, I was playing outside a lot with bugs and stuff. And later on, I was interested in marine biology and other types of biology. But when I was in high school, I did an internship at an insect zoo. So I kind of fell in love with insects then. And then when I was in college, I started my job back in the U.S., which is in an ecology lab. And so that lab largely studied the habitats of salmon. And my job was to identify insects for the research on research on kind of environments and how healthy they are for different kinds of aquatic products like salmon, or sometimes we did research having to do with kind of like beaches, so clams and oysters. And but so from that job I got really into identifying insects, which is a large part of that is based in the taxonomy. So one of my goals with my research is I want to create resources for people to easily identify insect species.
No, not necessarily marine insects, but
not necessarily, but kind of one of my specialties is insects that live on beaches, largely because of my background at my previous job, but also here in Japan I've done some work studying kind of comparing insects that live on beaches in Japan to the insects that live on the beaches in the west coast of North America. And so my master's research was largely about that. My PhD had to change a little bit because of COVID, but still, last year I was doing a lot of field work in Sendai, looking at kind of the insects that live on the beaches where the seawalls were installed after the 2011.
Seawall?
Seawall.
Sorry.
So kind of like if there's a town and then the ocean, they build a wall.
Oh, okay.
So we call it a seawall.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, kind of looking at which insects are in the areas where they build the seawall.
So you are also, expert in salmon?
No, not really. Mostly I know about the insects that live in places where salmon live. A lot of the people who I worked with back in the U.S. are kind of experts in salmon.
So they are fishery.
I worked in the fisheries
department.
So the lab I worked for in the U.S., they did a lot of work with Seattle is a big city and a big port, and there's a seawall there, where the boats come in. There's a seawall, and the seawall is really old, and so they've been reconstructing it. But my job back in Seattle, they did a lot of work with designing a new seawall that's more friendly for the environment.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but how you decided to? How did you decide to come to Japan? Why you specifically you pick this strange country?
Well, so I have several reasons. First one is my father is from Japan.
Oh, okay.
My father's from Tokyo, and so I have some roots here, and I didn't really speak Japanese much before I moved here, and I wanted to get better at the language, and so I figured probably coming here would be the best way to do that. Then, in addition to that, I knew I wanted to study abroad. I wanted to study in a different country, and in Japan, my family has a lot of friends, and I have a cousin in Tokyo, and so
really?
if something were to happen, I have a support network here. And then on top of that, so Japan offers some pretty good scholarships for international students.
Okay.
Like it's quite competitive, but I was able to receive the MEX scholarship, which pays for my graduate school and gives me a living stipend as well.
Could you be a little bit, more specific about your father's background?
Yeah. So my father, he's from Tokyo, but his father was actually from North Korea, and I don't know the details exactly, but because I think my grandfather wanted to own his own business, and in North Korea, kind of the way politically things were going, it wasn't looking like a good place for him to do that. So he immigrated to Japan, and he married my grandmother, and my grandmother was Japanese. And he took her name so that he would look more Japanese, because there was quite a bit of discrimination at that time. And they had my uncle and my father. My father's quite a bit younger than my uncle.
So what kind of business they are doing?
They ran yakiniku restaurants.
Oh, I love yakiniku.
Yeah, because my grandfather's Korean.
Okay.
So they had they ran yakiniku restaurants. They largely in the Ginza area, actually. My family wasn't rich, but they were surrounded by rich people. And my grandmother, I think she was originally from quite a wealthy family, but because she married a Korean, she was kind of kicked out of the family.
Really? That's too bad.
Yeah. Well, and I know my uncle and my father faced a lot of discrimination back then as well. I know my uncle wanted to become a pilot, but they basically wouldn't let him.
Really?
Like he took the exam, but they gave him a bad score. And
Really?
It's pretty sure it's because
some kind of discrimination.
Yeah.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah. And,
I'm sorry.
And my father as well, because my grandparents worked in Ginza, they had good connections. So my father was able to go to a very elite high school, but he was the poorest guy there, and he was also half Korean. So I think probably that was very difficult for him. And I think that's one reason he stayed in the U.S. is because in the U.S. he faced discrimination as well, but he was already facing discrimination here. And he told me that Japanese culture is very oppressive, and I think in the U.S. he could be a little more free to be himself.
No, I understand.
Yeah, and I think the discrimination where he was in the U.S. and the discrimination he faced in Tokyo are quite different as well.
Okay. But still you are decided to come to Japan, and how do you find life here?
Oh, I think
for you?
There are things that I like about it, and there are things I don't like about it. Compared to when my father was here, the discrimination is not quite so bad. And also because I grew up outside of Japan, I'm considered just a foreigner, which is different from being is it Zainichi, Japanese, Korean.
You look American.
Yes. Yeah, I look like my mother. And it's because I'm from the U.S., so my mannerisms generally are more American. The way I act is more American because I'm American. Yeah. But there's certain things that I like. I think there's a lot of things that are very convenient. about living in Japan. Japan is very safe. Like people don't steal stuff that often. Like people, you don't have to worry about walking home at night. Like you're not going to be attacked, or like you don't have to lock everything down. In the U.S., like it's a little bit rougher. And like where I'm from, it's not so bad, but compared to Japan, it's a little bit. You need to just be more careful. So it's nice not having to worry about that sort of stuff here. I think also, there's convenience stores everywhere, which is always nice. It's convenient. And I think the one thing I really like about Japanese culture is that I like the food culture here. And not
what culture?
The food culture.
Food culture.
And I think generally the standard of food is much higher here. And the thing that I really like is people's attitudes about food. And I've found that in Japan, there's kind of this feeling that everyone deserves to eat good food.
Yeah, wow, really? Oh, okay.
Even if you're lazy, even if you're a bad person, you should still be able to eat okay food. If you even cheap food from the convenience store is not so bad. It's still good. I mean,
really?
It's not the most delicious food,
okay.
but it's still decent.
Compared with their food in States?
Yeah, and the food in the States, you can go to a restaurant and the food is just bad. You don't want to eat it.
Really?
Finding a restaurant in Japan where the food is bad is quite difficult. The worst usually is futsu yoishi, It's just the worst here is generally kind of good, but not especially.
Okay. That's good news for us.
Yeah, but like I said, I think it's also I really like the attitude here that everyone should eat well. And in the U.S. there's kind of a lot of attitude about if you're a bad person or if you're lazy, you shouldn't get good things.
Really?
Oh, totally.
That's kind of interesting idea.
Yeah, it's kind of. I think it's kind of from the Christian Judeo-Protestant. I'm not Christian, so I don't really know, but kind of Protestant, I think.
Really?
Ethic where it's if you work hard, you get good things. If you don't work hard, you don't deserve good things. And I don't like that. Because I think, there's some things that everyone deserves, despite, no matter what. And I like in Japan, everyone should eat well, no matter who you are.
Okay.
I like this attitude. Japanese people don't even realize it.
No.
I think it's one of the best things about Japan.
Really? That's good thing.
Yeah.
Do you find anything? What kind of things you find there negative aspect as a negative aspect of Japanese culture or Japanese people?
Yeah, so I think there's kind of so one thing that was very difficult for me to adjust to, and it's something that I think I never fully be able to get used to, is Japanese people tend to keep the way their social lives are structured. I call it kind of a bento box social life, where all your groups of friends and people are separated and there's walls between them. You don't introduce your high school friends to your group of college friends, and your work friends are separate, or your drinking friends, that's something else too.
Okay.
Right? And so kind of as a result, everyone is so busy.
So you have to divide and you have to see all those different groups.
And so there was a period here where I was kind of depressed because I felt like my Japanese friends didn't have any time for me, and that they were hiding me from their other friends, which is not true because it's just the culture is different. And if I wanted to see my friend, I'd have to make an appointment in 1 month.
Really? You must be seeing quite important people.
No, really, just young people are busy. I think, but in the U.S. in the U.S. it's much easier to make friends because your friend invites you to a party with their other friends from other places, and you can make some different friends, and they invite you to something else to meet their friends. Whereas here, if you make a friend, that's your friend. Maybe if you make a friend with a group, it's just that group. There's no spreading from there. And like, yeah, and that was kind of difficult for me. Like, that was one of the things that was quite difficult for me to understand for a long time too. Is that my Japanese friends, it's not like they didn't like me. It's not like they're hiding me or anything. It's just that's how they're used to having their lives. And if they were to introduce me to some other friend from somewhere else, it would be very uncomfortable and stressful for them sometimes.
Really?
I think for some people, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it's like kind of feeling they can't control things. But yeah, but I don't know. And then of course they're also very busy. Like in the U.S., when I go to my friend, I ask them, "Are you busy on Friday night?" And they said, "Yes, I'm going to a party with these friends. But if you want, you can come along."
Oh.
Right? But in Japan, you ask your friend, "Are you busy on Friday night?" The answer, "Yes."
Stop. Period.
Yeah.
Okay. That's too bad. Yeah, I realize that too. I myself is not in mainstream of Japanese culture, so I don't have that
It's
habit.
not all Japanese people are like that. I have some Japanese friends who are totally not like that. But a lot of those friends, they like hanging out with foreigners.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have some friends who are like that. But yeah, it's kind of they're separate from my other friends because my other friends don't want to come and meet them. But yeah, it's just like. It's okay, it's just how people have their lives, and my friends who do live that way, they're still my friends. It's just, I don't see them as much because it's more difficult. And like some of them, I wish I could be closer in a more American sense. But it's, like it just depends on the situation. And I think also a lot of Japanese people, they prioritize work much higher as well. Like,
You think so?
Yeah.
We can die for our work.
Yeah, I've been on a couple dates actually where the guy is like, "Oh, I have to go. My boss says I have to go back to work," and it's like 10 p.m. and I'm like, "Okay, fine." And I was like, "Oh, maybe they just this excuse they don't like me." And then a couple weeks later, "Hey, you want to go on another date?" And same thing happens. So it's like it's also kind of like it's difficult. Because I feel like, from an American perspective at least, if they cared about me more, then they would tell their boss no. But it's not so easy here, because the work culture is different. But yeah, that's the thing that's kind of been the hardest here. There's also just kind of all of the paperwork is a lot. There's a lot of paperwork. Now it has to be done a very certain way.
But maybe we are so inefficient. That's why we have to work so hard. But still, we can't get maybe any fruitful result or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Sometimes it's
like with the paperwork. I feel like sometimes it's like it's not about the results. It's just about making sure that everyone has something to do. So you make more work for people. But I don't know. It feels that way.
Yeah, it's like more like communist country.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's one thing. That's
kind of you don't like.
Yeah, and sometimes things can be just so rigid, right? Like, this is the way we do things. We can't change it. Maybe there's so many problems. It's easy to fix, but no. Everyone decided it's this way, so we can't change it.
People don't, usually people don't ask why something is, something like something. So,
that's true.
That's
in the U.S. we always ask why. Yeah.
We should have that habit, asking why. But
another thing that kind of annoyed me too is that everyone always says shogunai. It's like even if the problem is so small, you can fix it easily. I remember, a couple of situations where it's just such an easy problem to fix, and shogunai. It's like that's not true.
No, that's I really understand that kind of situation.
Yeah, and that was frustrating for me for a time as well, because I prefer if there's a problem that's affecting me, that we fix it. But often, there's times I want to try and fix it, and everyone says, no, you can't fix it, because that's not your job, that's this other person's job. And you can't make them do it because they say no every time, so shogunai. But, it happens in the U.S. too. It does happen in the U.S. as well, this kind of situation, but here it's just kind of more.
Yeah, that's a really, I think it's a really big problem here. and we can't change our mind ourselves. That's really.
Yeah. Or people feel like they can't change it themselves. Maybe they can, but they don't feel like they can. But yeah, I don't know though.
Okay. So I changed the subject suddenly, but what is your hobby?
My hobby? Oh, I have a few hobbies. I like painting.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't had much time recently because I was finishing my PhD. But yeah, painting. I like collecting insects. I don't keep my own collection because it's also part of my research too. But I don't keep my own collection, but I like collecting them and sometimes just looking and then letting them go.
You collect beetles? Not only beetles, but
mostly I focus on beetles. I'm also quite interested in flies.
Flies.
Yeah.
Flies. Do you have so many different kind of flies?
Yes. There's very many different kinds of flies.
Really?
So many kinds of flies. Actually, when I worked for a job relating to salmon research, most of the insects I dealt with was different species of flies.
Oh. How many species you think?
I don't know.
Fly. You are talking about the fly, right? Fly, just fly.
Flies.
Wow.
Yeah, no, they're very diverse group. Very diverse group. And actually, probably, butterflies and beetles, we know so many species because people like them and they like to collect them. But flies, we don't know so much about them because
People
it's
don't
not
like. But when I see them fly, the way they're flying is so amazing.
Yeah.
They just fly with a very subtle movement of their wings.
They're very well adapted for flying. Wasps as well. Wasps are also very good flyers. Beetles are a little clumsier because they're heavier. But it depends on the species, of course. But
why beetles decide to fly? They land very clumsy in a way.
yeah, but if you can move far away, then you can if you stay all in the one place and there's more babies, more individuals, then it becomes competition becomes kind of very harsh.
Overpopulated.
Yeah, but if you can fly, you can go and you can find your own house.
Okay.
Yeah. But all insects originally had wings. So some insects no longer have wings, like fleas or lice don't have wings, but their ancestors did have wings.
Really?
But yeah, some beetles don't have wings anymore, but most of them still do.
This might be a kind of strange question, but what insect do you think is the most powerful, or in the future, the most prominent? What kind of insect do you think?
It's difficult.
Some say, ants or.
Yeah, the thing about ants are already pretty prominent. I'd say. A lot of insects are already quite prominent. Species of ants are quite widespread. A lot of types of flies as well. A lot of insects that live around humans are doing quite well. Fruit flies, house flies, cockroaches. But the thing is, you need often, species are dependent on each other. So it can kind of depend on
Yeah, but sorry. By the way, there are a lot of news about honeybees kind of distinct. Not honeybees kind of being killed or dead or.
Oh yeah, the colony collapse.
Colony collapse. Yeah.
Kind of yeah.
What do you think?
I think that was largely had to do with there's a lot of different kinds of bees, a lot of species of bees, and several species of honeybee. And so that was kind of a big problem in the European honeybee, which is the most commonly kept type of species of honeybee. So European honeybees are basically livestock, right? We bred them very, like cows or like chickens, we bred them alive. We we give them lots of medicine and stuff like that. They're very connected to humans, right? And so basically, and they're also traded globally. Like, so different bee strains will be shipped to different countries, and we keep them like mini colonies all together, close together. And so I think they're still not sure exactly what the colony collapse disorder was, but it was probably a combination of a lot of different stresses. So there are a lot of diseases spreading in kind of global honeybee trade. There are a lot of diseases spreading, and then like also fungus that invades the hive, and there's like kinds of mites that are parasitic on the honeybees, and they can spread diseases as well. And then also lots of pesticides, and all of this together is just very stressful. And